waiver.
Hi, everyone. This is Jason Hoppin. We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. Thanks for joining us. We're going to start off with some information about preparation before I throw it over to our law and fire branches for a report, and then we'll throw it open to questions. We're going to have to get out of here in about 30 minutes. I know some of you have requested to be able to record the Zoom. I do not see that function, so I am not preventing that, but I will make the recording available to anybody who wants it immediately after the meeting. Just let me know. We'll get started shortly. Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. I want to make sure I see Chief Larkin. I want to make sure Deputy Chief Clark is online. Chris, are you here?
Chief Clark and Chief Larkin are here together.
Great. All right, thanks. So I'll start off. As many of you know, yesterday we issued evacuation orders for approximately 5,000 people, primarily in the San Lorenzo Valley and North Coast. There have been a couple tweaks since then, so I'll leave it to our law and fire branches to update that information. We have set up temporary evacuation points, 3 of them throughout the county. One is at San Lorenzo Valley High School, one is at the Scotts Valley Community Center, and the other is at Pacific Elementary in Davenport. By far, The most visited site has been the San Lorenzo Valley High School site with about 500 people served so far. That makes sense. It is on the route out of the San Lorenzo Valley. PG&E has established a base camp at the Graham Hill Showgrounds to address the storm impacts. I would encourage you to reach out to PG&E with any questions about their operations. We do have just general storm preparation information from our Department of Public Works, which cannot join us for this call, but they are concerned about localized flooding going forward. They did breach the Pajaro River today to prevent flooding in that area. They have spent the afternoon moving sand around, especially up to fire stations in the valley. If anybody needs a list of sandbag locations, it is on DPW's website, dpw.santacruzcounty.us. All roads are currently open, so access to the valley is fine now, but I would encourage everyone to stay attuned to sccroadclosures.org for any updates as we kind of move into the weather. With that, I'm going to ask Chief Deputy Chris Clark to give us a quick update. Chris, are you with us?
I am. Hi. Good evening. My name is Chris Clark. I'm a Chief Deputy here at the Sheriff's Office, and I'm here at our Incident Command Post with Chief Ian Larkin and other unified incident commanders, such as our fire district, CHP, and PG&E and EMS. So I just want to touch on a couple things that we did today. We wrapped up evacuations, as you heard Jason mention. We finished that at about 11 o'clock this morning, and out of that, we saw about 261 people that informed our deputies that were going door to door that they intended to stay at their house. And so, you know, there could be a number out there that could be higher than 261. That's possible based on people that chose the last minute not to leave. But again, just as we mentioned yesterday, now is definitely the time to leave. We want people, we want to keep people as safe as absolutely possible. And so, and one of the biggest reasons is, you know, we're continuing to watch this weather and watch it extremely close, because it's a dangerous system with the wind and obviously the water and the hazard of debris flow. But our response during the peak of this system could be significantly hampered, and that's both from the Sheriff's Office as well as EMS. And so if you found yourself with a medical emergency, you know, our response could be significantly delayed potentially in trying to get to you. And that's not because we don't want to. Just there could be a road closed, or there could be a tree down, or wires or something to that effect. So it could make it hard to get to you. So we just want to stress that now's the time to leave. And so you want to be safe. You want to keep your family safe. And so we just like to reiterate that. In terms of today's activity, besides the evacuation orders going door to door, that notification, as you heard me mention, we also activated another evacuation warning area, and that was for the area of Last Chance Road on our north coast. And so we drove out that area, and we warned some folks there who chose to shelter in place. And so tonight we're going to have today we had 21 deputies working the San Lorenzo Valley and making sure those notifications happen. And then tonight we're going to have we have 13 deputies total and 6 committed to the San Lorenzo Valley that, again, you know, forward deployed out here through the night and that will monitor the situation. And then again, I just want to mention, just know your zone. It's something that we want to make sure that if you're hearing this, hopefully not for the first time, but if you are, community.zonehaven.com will tell you what area of the county, based on your address that you're in, and whether or not you're in an evacuation order area. And so know your zone. Google Santa Cruz County debris flow, and there's a ton of resources there for you. It shows that map. So again, we just want to stress, if you haven't left, now's the time to do it. And so we want you to be as safe as possible. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chief Ian Larkin.
Yeah, so for the fire side, all of our local fire districts here in the San Lorenzo Valley, Boulder Creek, Ben Lomond, Felton, as well as the county fire department, have been in preparation for the debris flow potential. Today, we did have a rescue task force, a specialized group of folks, multidisciplined, show up in the county that's pre-positioned in the event that we have a debris flow, that we can dispatch them very quickly to get into the area and assist once it's safe to get them into the area. As well, we have upstaffed many of our fire agencies, including an additional task force of fire engines to help with the deployment of the rescue task force in the event of a debris flow. And just to reiterate what Chief Deputy Clark said, the know your zone is really important. We went to great extents to the Sheriff's Department has to get folks out of the area for your safety. So you can look at your zones at community.zonehaven.com. And with the Santa Cruz Mountains, we're all aware that when a storm comes through here, it could delay our response both for fire and EMS, as well as our law enforcement agencies as well. So we just hope everybody that was supposed to leave in the evacuation areas has gotten out, and we'll do our best to be there if your need arises.
Great, thank you, Chief Larkin. So if you can go ahead and raise your hand in the participant window if you have questions, and I'll call on people as you throw your hands up. I have Nick Ibarra. Nick, go ahead and ask your question. You got to unmute yourself first and then go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, this question is for Chief Deputy Clark. Chief Deputy, can you clarify the number of households or individuals that declined to evacuate? Is that 261 households? And to follow up to that, could you talk about, are there any plans to put into place roadblocks or other enforcement mechanisms around evacuations?
Yeah, so I can look at that number. That 261 very well could be households, and that's as I interpret it. But I can do a little bit more research on that and determine if that's 261 individuals specifically. But as I understand, it's 261 households. With regards to roadblocks, because not all the county, and it's a little different in the CZU fire, in the sense that not the entire valley is a closed evacuation area. So with that, it's hard to close roads when people can't access certain areas of the valley. But we've got, CHP is one of the unified commanders that's part of this incident, and so should we have to close roads, we have our partners that are able to do that, and so there'll be information on that. And Jason can reiterate the website to check to monitor road conditions. But as of right now, no roads are closed, but that's definitely something that we're watching very closely. If something like that changes, Jason give you the information to find out exactly where to get that info.
Yep, that is sccroadclosure.org. And I do want to caution that is for roads in the unincorporated area. So state-owned roads such as Highway 9 will not be included on that list. Jesse Gary, do you have a question? Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey, thank you very much. And Chief, I just had a quick question. You said, sorry, there was a warning issued for Last Chance Road on the North Coast. Can you tell me, is there a 100 block or a specific area of Last Chance Road, and 261 households and or people that are staying behind? Is there any thought to, I know it's an evacuation, I mean, they have a right to stay even though you feel it'll be dangerous for them to do so?
Yeah, so, and we mentioned this yesterday. So total of about 2,800 structures included in the evacuation order, about 5,000 people potentially affected that were ordered to evacuate. And then in addition to that, what our deputies found was about 261, what I believe to be households, and again, I can get clarification on that chose to stay. That's what people had told us. That evacuation order with the evacuation warning with regards to Last Chance Road was precautionary to just to keep those folks better aware. And again, we went in there and we made contact with different people that were choosing to shelter there. Jesse, does that answer your question?
So it is the entire length of Last Chance Road?
Not necessarily the entire length, and I think Ian can probably speak to the zones.
Yeah, so anything north of Pistolero off of Last Chance has been included in the evacuation warning.
Okay. How many, do you know, have a rough idea how many households that impacts?
Oh, I'd say, yeah, it would. So when I made contact, that's a very hardy group that lives there. Very well known to us in our county. The people that we spoke to today said there's about 7 people that were sheltering there. We spoke to 4 that were there. All 7 were sheltering at what's considered the mill site. It's an area that CAL FIRE cleared for to protect them in the event of a fire. So they're there, and they chose to shelter there. So that's who we spoke to.
Okay, thank you.
And Deputy Chief Clark, this is Jason. Can we just clarify on the number of people that told us that they're not leaving? Do we expect that is all that's staying behind, or do we expect more people to stay behind?
Frankly, that's unknown, but I would say that it's likely that more people chose to stay. I think that it could have been possible that people told us, yeah, we're evacuating, and then decided to stay at the last minute. So that number could be higher. It was just those were the affirmative responses that our folks got back.
Gotcha. Okay, Nick, do you have another question? If you do, go ahead and ask.
Yeah, I do. Let me see if I can turn on my video here. Hey, everybody. So I'm wondering, it's kind of a 2-part question, but I'm wondering, not sure who the best person to put this to, if anything we've heard about the weather forecast as that's changing. It sounds like the atmospheric river is not going to stay as long over Santa Cruz County as originally anticipated. Can you talk about whether that changes anything at all? And the second part, I'm curious about how roads will be cleared if they are blocked for emergency access, and what resources may be available tonight.
So Nick, I can talk about your first part with regards to weather. So frankly, as we all know, weather changes, and it's unpredictable. But I'll tell you this: we're watching it extremely close, and we take it day by day. So our plans are we have a long-term plan through the week. But frankly, we're focused on tonight, and then we'll continue to watch the weather as it develops. With regards to roads, I know in emergency access, I know that Chief Larkin, CAL FIRE has pre-deployed a couple of resources, and Chief can talk about that.
In the event that we need to make a emergency access, we'll be working with Public Works, but also we have some resources, heavy equipment and SAW teams available to assist with opening roads in order for us to make access for emergency response.
Thanks. So just to follow up quickly, so it sounds like, Chief Deputy, you're saying that we're going to take a look at where we are tomorrow, but in terms of evacuation timeline, anything like that, I mean, status unchanged for now. Is there anything else you can share about how you're looking at that?
Yeah, Nick, are you talking about like when can people go home? Is that kind of
Yeah, I think I'm wondering, because I think, seeing the forecast that, maybe now we're talking about light rains Wednesday and Thursday, who knows if that's accurate or not, but I'm just curious, maybe you could talk about what factors you'll be looking at to change before the evacuation order could be lifted.
Yeah, so, within our incident command post here, we rely on 3 experts, really, and that's weather, geology, and then there are 2 experts to help us with that. And so it's both looking at the weather and then consulting with the geologist to determine kind of what, how our plans develop. We're watching this throughout the night, and we'll change. Those plans could change, things could change. But tonight's our focus, and we're going to continue to monitor kind of what that long-term forecast looks like. And if it does change, then obviously, people could come home sooner than later. It's just there's such a big unknown, right?
Thanks.
Yeah, and Nick, just to add to that, I know we just got a report from our flood control manager that they remain concerned about a second band later on Wednesday, in addition to the band moving through tonight. Michelle Loxton, do you have a question? Unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Thanks, Jason. I just wanted to, Michelle Loxton from KEZU, could you just repeat the details that you gave about the PG&E base camp?
So they are positioned up at the Graham Hill Showgrounds. That is right at the beginning of the San Lorenzo Valley, basically. They will do that often during major storm events. And we would just direct you to them to ask questions about their operations. We just don't have that information. Phil Gomez, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious about the San Lorenzo River. With this debris flow, is there any possibility, A, that it could block it at some point? And B, just there's a lot of people who live along the river and they want to know, are they going to be, if the county is monitoring the height of the river, is there any concerns for people, say, in Felton Grove that they should be aware of?
Phil, it's a great question for our county hydrologist who's not on this, but I can tell you that Felton Grove, Paradise Park, all that, we discuss that routinely throughout the day. So we're very familiar with the places that are potentially at risk due to flooding. Just in talking with the county hydrologist, there's stream gauges, there's rain gauges, there's all sorts of instruments that our hydrologist looks at and to evaluate kind of the situation along the river. And then obviously, we were asking very early on, those type questions and determining what impact could have, that the Felton Grove and Paradise Park area could see. And as of right now, we were told that there's not necessarily any impact that they've predicted for that area. But again, I've been focused on evacuations. Obviously, that's an area of concern. That's a great question for our county hydrologist that we can have that person get back to you.
And Phil, if you'd like, I can see if Mark Stradley can give you a call. As you know, flooding is sort of a way of life for the people in those neighborhoods. So, Felix Cortez, do you have a question? Unmute yourself and go ahead and ask.
Hey, thanks, Jason. Felix Cortez, KSBW Channel. Could somebody, I think it was Chief Larkin, could just elaborate more on the rescue task force? Who makes up that group, and what would their roles be should there be an emergency?
Yeah, so the rescue task force, the task force that came to Santa Cruz County is from Marin. It's a 30-member team. It's an interdisciplinary team that is made up of experts from fire, public works, and they have other disciplines that work with them with canine handlers. So their primary task would be to respond in the event of a debris flow. Once the debris flow has somewhat stabilized, they will go in and start to search for people that may have been caught in that debris flow and effect rescues or recovery if the need arises. So that's going to be their primary mission.
So I don't see any more hands raised. So I'm just going to ask anybody if you have any other questions to go ahead and unmute themselves. This could get a little chaotic. So
can you let me know how soon the audio, or you'll make the video of this available? And will it be like a link or?
What I'll do is I'll put it on a Google Drive and send the link out to the same list that got the invite for the press conference, so everybody can download it. All right.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Yeah, I have a question there. I had a technical issue and didn't get the first couple of minutes of this. Was there anything of major significance that you were talking about in the first 2 minutes?
No, I think we were just reiterating the operation since yesterday morning when the evacuation orders first went out. We gave out information on the temporary evacuation points and the usage there. I think they added a location near Last Chance Road for evacuations. Was it an order or an advisory?
It was an evacuation warning.
Warning, okay. But I will make this available to you too.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
Yep. All right, anybody else? Thank you all for joining us. Again, I will send out a link to this as soon as possible. I'll work on getting it uploaded right away. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.